If anybody is just doing the whole spray and pray approach, I think they're just wasting their time and the recipient's time. And it's an example that I'm going through at the moment is we're busy interviewing a few people for another developer role. And one of the questions we always ask is, what do you know about our company? And some people have actually done some research, and I think that's so powerful, especially when you got that first touch point. If you can show you've done some real research and you've dug a bit deeper than everyone else, I think that adds so much value as well.
Today, my guest is Vincent. Vincent is from Neptune Software. Vincent, welcome to my podcast. Thank you for joining me today. Please introduce yourself, introduce the company, and tell us what you guys do.
Happy. Thanks very much for having me. It's it really is a pleasure being part of your podcast. So my name is Vincent Kruse. I'm the global head of consulting for Neptune Software. I joined Neptune Software probably about 4 years ago. Originally starting as the country managing director for the UK and I business, and then beginning of this year transitioned over from the MD of the UK and I across to global head of consulting. Prior to Neptune, I was working at Deloitte, and then prior to that at Accenture. Always been in the SAP space, spent probably 22 years now in total in the SAP space. Always been working with large consulting organizations, supporting customers, and then more recently working with Neptune in the software space, helping customers drive value more directly.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for sharing about something that you did before as well. Now, I would like to start with one thing for everyone that is listening. Could you explain SAP a little bit more, what it actually is, what it does for clients?
So SAP is a large ERP platform, business software, the largest business software platform available in the world today. Checking the most recent statistics, I believe that 84% of all commerce transactions around the world touch an SAP system. And I think it is something like 98 of the FTSE 100 organizations all run SAP. SAP today have about 480,000 customers, exceptionally extensively used across small, medium, and large businesses. But SAP used to always be a large business piece of software. But yes, more recently, it is being positioned towards more the small, medium-sized enterprises as well as they grow their footprint across the business world.
Okay, so it is very useful, used by majority of companies, especially the bigger ones, and it's probably too big for us to be even able to explain everything that it does and how it helps clients. Now, I would like to understand also you, the global head of consulting, but that position has been changing. So let's talk about a little bit about your journey in the company, when you joined the company, on which position, and that progress.
So I joined Neptune Software almost 4 years ago, and kind of in my first week, speaking with the global CEO, he said, the Neptune Software business at that point in time wasn't really performing that well. And my initial brief was, we really need to make a success of this business. Ultimately, if you can't deliver a success for Neptune Software, we really need to reconsider whether there is true business within the UK, especially for a software organization. Worked very, very close with the team and dramatically turned the business around. Year one was able to deliver 250% growth in the first year, an additional 320% growth in the second year, and then an additional 350% growth in the third year, while also closing the largest deal in the history of the company, 3 times larger than any deal previously, and effectively taking the UK business from the worst performing region globally to the number 1 region. So we outperformed the US, we outperformed every other region globally at the end of last year. So it was really a great story and a great journey along the process as well.
Wow, huge congratulations. That outstanding results, measurable, and taking the company from not super stable position as well. So when you joined, there was a huge pressure, right? And right, you delivered, you probably over-delivered. And on top of this, you made that a branch really stand out and signed the biggest deal ever. Fantastic. Well done. Now, how did you do this? Right now, I'm asking in terms of what's worked then, in terms of actually finding new clients and signing those deals.
Within those first 2 weeks that I joined, there were 3 customers looking to leave us. But if I remember correctly, I think we had 2 partners who were on the way out as well. Mm-hmm. So the first step was just to reconnect with people. This is also coming out in the back of COVID and all the lockdowns. Everyone is used to working from home and working remotely. And I think a lot of people just kind of fell into the trap of just remaining disconnected. Something that I heard recently from a customer, which which is so, so good to hear, was that, we do business with people. We want to work with people. And that's always been a core motto for me I believe that every business is a people business. And that's also how I tried to run Neptune as a business in the UK, was how do I get back to the people? And I did that not only internally, but also with the customers and with our channel business and our partners. So I reached out to all three of those customers who were considering leaving. I managed to convince two of them to stay. The third one, unfortunately left, and both partners decided to stay with us as well. Ultimately, the feedback was the same from all of them. They all said, the reason we're leaving is because we never heard from you. Someone sold us these licenses and we never heard from people again, which is an absolute shame. That's so there was a lot of work done to change that perception in the market, but also change that perception of organizations that had worked with us previously, and focus back again on people, focusing on the employees internally, and how can we work together as a more close-knit team, even though we are remote, and then how can I spend more time with our customers and our partners to ensure their success through using our platform.
Yeah, I absolutely love this approach. Obviously, when I asked you the question, I was thinking, right, going after new clients, but the lowest hanging fruit, it's people that are existing clients. You know that they have a challenge that you can solve, right? You've already have the partnership and you focused on fixing this partnership. And it actually happens very, very often in software space, where whoever delivers software to a company, they think the job is done. But they actually miss that part when there is a human to human partnership and connection and support, and software might work and everything is great, but there is always something that could be done on that partnership side. Fantastic. Well done. What an amazing job. Okay. So you kept those two out of three clients straight away within weeks, right? Which gave that initial stability. And then now you were challenged with actually going after finding more clients.
Yeah.
Could you walk me through the process of the next first challenge?
Yeah. So a lot of it kind of came down to relationships. I hired a person who I'd worked with very, very closely at Deloitte. So he joined the team. I knew that he had an extensive network in the UK. I've also got a decent network in the UK, and I then made sure that through our partners, we could leverage their networks, because you can do pipeline generation as much as you want, but it's so much easier to go in on a warm introduction. If you know someone who knows the end customer, or you know someone who knows your economic buyer or the champion in the business that is looking for a solution to solve their pains, it is a much, much easier way into the business than trying the whole cold call process. So a lot of it was done through just working on those relationships we have with partners, or relationships I have within the consulting space, and then starting from there, and really starting at ground one or ground zero.
Yeah, oh, amazing. That is often an approach for startups. If someone, for example, has got a job in some specific industry and they leave that job, open their own company, very often the first 2 to 5 first clients, it's from the existing network. They just connected, and they know the pain points. They know it's a warm connection already, right? Very often on business terms as well. Great. And that's what signed the first few deals, right? I take it. Was it a quick turnaround in terms of sales cycle?
Our sales cycle, unfortunately, is quite long, but and I'm still kind of plagued with that challenge. It's a question I ask myself on a regular basis: is that why is our sales cycle that long? And I think part of it has to do with the fact that we are a platform play. So we don't have a point solution that you can sell into a customer and they know that I'm getting a purchase order approval application that I can just plug into the business and it works. We're selling a platform that allows you to build anything you want and connect it to any data source you want. So it's really kind of understanding their pain, bringing that to life, and selling the platform in as a vehicle to enable the ability to build the solution to their pains. So, and I think that's that's probably a key reason why the sales cycle is a bit longer. But I just remember something from like those first few months in the business, and one of the customers that we then ended up saving, I had a really good relationship with, developed a good relationship with their CIO, and he was so pro the business that he actually proactively went out to his network and said, "You got to work with these guys." So and that only comes from relationships. That'll never come from cold calling. So it's so while cold calling has its place, I think relationship development is so much more powerful.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure we'll discuss in a second your cold approach as well, because there'll be natural next step, right? But it's something that you actually said. I've just been discussing with one of our partners about actually the sales cycle and how to shorten this. And we were actually brainstorming and discussing, is it the time or is it the amount of touch points? Maybe it's the steps of education, showing a case study, a demo, and the next step, maybe implementation time, aligning with few additional stakeholders. Is it time required, or is it actually those touch points in a structured matter? And if they can be actually achieved in 3 months' time, rather than physical events where they happen once a year and people need to go there and educate themselves more about some objections they may have, and questions, and so on. So this is a very observation. What would be your opinion? Is it time, or is it actually the amount of those touch points and interactions with prospects?
I think it depends a bit on the customer, because there's some, and really, how much is that pain burning them? So the challenge they have in the business, and we have had customers where there's been a turnaround of a couple of weeks. We've met them, and they see the value immediately, and they can picture the platform working for them. One of the sales guys, he used to be part of my team, he had a really good strategy around really getting like developing a strong depth within the customer organization, but also developing a strong breadth. So not only trying to go, from C level down, but how can he expand the footprint of the project, or expand the footprint of the platform across not only IT, but what are those business units that are also experiencing challenges? And if you can get that demand coming from the business, it's often a far more powerful vehicle into the organization, as opposed to trying to get that demand through IT almost being forced down on the business. So it does kind of depend on the customer, but it's a regular challenge as to trying to get that sales cycle shortened down.
Awesome. 100% agree. So the next step is you had to go after completely cold audience, right? One way or another. So in general terms, if you would sum it up, what worked the best? One, you've mentioned cold calling, probably some other outbound, maybe some ads, maybe events. What overperformed any other channel?
For me, it was key events, and really using that opportunity to get FaceTime with the customer. I think it is so easy just to hang up the phone nowadays. And I don't know about you, but I'd say 9 out of the 10 calls I get, if I don't recognize the number, I'm probably not going to answer it because I'm too busy doing something else. And I think that's the same case for a lot of people out there. So everyone's just so focused on their work. We used to have much longer meetings, and you have time between the meetings. Now your day is 30-minute calls back to back with no gaps in between. And then there's still, we hope someone answers the phone. So whereas events give you that opportunity to get real FaceTime with key individuals in the business, you can spend time with them. You could have a coffee, you could have lunch, and really get to know them a bit better, and start developing that personal relationship, and then use that initial starter of a relationship to build on later down the line. So for us in the beginning, events was great, and we saw really positive success at events, key industry events, and obviously key technology events with a focus on SAP. But as we've moved on in the last 3 years or so, kind of the advent of AI has really come on, and there are some very powerful tools in AI just to allow you to scrape data that is available publicly. So kind of on the side of what I'm doing, running the consulting practice, is I'm helping out a couple of the sales guys in the UK to see, can we build AI tooling that can help optimize their pipeline generation campaigns? So whether it could be identifying a target customer and then doing all the research for you. So grabbing the annual report, grabbing all the financial information, identifying who are the board level individuals, who is the head of SAP or the head of IT, building an org structure or 5 levels deep, and then getting LinkedIn links for all of those people so that you can go and find out more about them. And then, and that's all of that can be done through a single prompt. And then you've got that information, you just put in a company name, and a few minutes later you have the information there. So that's a lot of work that's already been kind of done for you. And then from there, with the annual report, you're starting to do a value pyramid to understand what are the key strategic goals of the business, and you can align some of those to the platform and the value the platform could deliver. Are there certain items within that documentation that align to the SAP roadmap? You can gain additional insights from that. So it is just what you can do today with AI tooling is so powerful, and it shortens that whole PG campaign down dramatically. So when you do reach out for the first time, you can actually share information about them, and it's not a 1-hour Q&A session where you're like trying to ask 200 questions in an hour and hope you can have everything answered.
Yeah, I love this strategy. Obviously, we can dive a little bit deeper if you want to share some of the AI tools, but I absolutely love this. This is something we focus on as well these days, really trying to find how can I be in the very first touch point, how can I be relevant, right? And instead of saying very generic, like a niche or job position, something that it's been done for years, if not decades, something about the data that is there's available, right? How have you got X amount of X, and is that a challenge? Because if we can improve that by 5%, would that mean something like this? It's such a more relevant and personalized first line outreach. It doesn't matter what channel, phone call, LinkedIn, email, right, any other channel. So yeah, which tools out of interest are you find the most useful in building, those go-to-market strategies like this?
So the ones I'm using the most are ChatGPT and Manus. I have looked at others. There is a tool out there called, I think, Medic GPT, which kind of goes through the medic sales process. But if you can prompt ChatGPT correctly, you can come up with very, very similar data. So initially, I used to spend quite a bit of time trying to craft the right prompts, but now I actually get ChatGPT to write its own prompts for itself, and it saves a lot of time. And I'm getting it probably about 90% of the way with ChatGPT. I'm getting a bit of mixed results with Manus. And we have looked at other tools. We've looked at Clay. We've looked at other tools from a marketing perspective as well. Can those be used? There's Blaze and a few others. And then when it comes to like pulling it all together, because one prompt on its own, I find sometimes falls short of just daisy chaining a few prompts back to back in a workflow style format. Mm-hmm. So we've tried out tools like Zapier, Relay, N8N as tools to kind of daisy chain a lot of prompts on back to back to get a much richer result. I think there's another one called Flowwise. I might be wrong on that name, but that was another one which is really, really powerful to use in a way for us to just put in something at the beginning, and you knew that it would be able to kind of query itself along the journey, and you get a full list of results at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. The stack you've mentioned is actually majority of tools. We use Clay especially in terms of enriching leads, prospects, and finding out a little bit more at scale, right, of the exact data that we want before we actually make the first touch point with them, right? Because that's what now is the key. It's not what we used to call spray and pray. There's the send loads of emails and someone's going to be relevant, someone that doesn't work anymore. Yeah. But calling people out on that pain. Yeah, exactly.
Which you don't have to do today at all anymore. I mean, if anybody's just doing the whole spray and pray approach, I think they're just wasting their time and the recipient's time. And it's I mean an example that I'm going through at the moment is we're busy interviewing a few people for another developer role. And one of the questions we always ask is, what do you know about our company? And and some people have actually done some research. And I think that's so powerful, especially when you got that first touch point. If you can show you've done some real research and you've dug a bit deeper than everyone else, I think that adds so much value as well. Because when I'm interviewing someone and they go like, well, I know you're a low code, no code platform. I was like, and anything else? And I was like, no, I just had 5 minutes. I was like, but you knew about this for weeks. So it's I mean, as good as the person might be, that just doesn't land that well. It's like, if you really wanted the job, if you really wanted to kind of move into the organization, you would have done as much research as possible to be prepared for the interview.
Yeah, and especially in techie positions, right? Like those people are skilled with tech. They know they can actually scale up hunting for jobs, sending CVs at scale, and obviously that's kind of at this stage is spray and pray for job applications. It's quite easy to do that. The second they have a call is like, I don't have a clue which that company is. It's just been, we've just and I've seen it done, and it's actually a good conversation. It's a great filter for this. We see it very often when we post, for example, a job for a freelancer, right? Just we have something that we need to done, not enough to actually employ someone. I've been using that for years, a hack that in the job description, I put something in terms of make sure you put word yellow in the application. The first filter is like, if there is no word yellow, I'm not even going to consider this, right? Because it's just the easiest I have.
Yeah. That's good.
So it's going to be a problem, but the scale will be the problem. Going back actually to outreaching, and I'll give the email as an example. LinkedIn is probably another good example. Because of those spray and pray people, agencies, right? Us that actually take more care into what we want to say, who for, right? Really, it's not at this big scale. It's still, it may be hundreds rather than hundreds of thousands. But more accurate. But we just put in the same basket, right? By when it's actually received by someone, is like it just looks like a cold email. Don't know this person, right? So that's the kind of market's been destroyed by that massive automation. But obviously, good marketers will find a way around this. Yeah, it's fascinating that you are familiar with lots of those tools and AI and how that could help.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I was going to say you touched on LinkedIn there, and it's a I wonder if the whole recruiting space is coming into that same dilemma around, just spray and pray. Because if you look at, I mean, I know with the job application we posted, and you just randomly look at others, it's job applications been up for a day, but there's over 100 applicants, and a lot of those people aren't adding any value to the process. And I wonder if it's kind of reaching that point where organizations have to rely on recruiters, and actually, once again, relationships with key people, a trusted recruiter that have worked with before, that is going to find you the best person. Yes, it might cost you a bit more, but at least you're not wasting time going through 100+ CVs that were just spray and pray.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's
Good,
just a thought
good
that
point.
came to mind as you were going
Yeah.
through it.
Good point. Now, actually, we installed something for one of our partners where we used AI and automation on the other hand. So we actually did LinkedIn recruitment ads for them because it was a completely remote job. They really wanted volume. They had thousands of applications
Okay.
for a chief operating officer job. But we knew the second, because they had 17 before I think we engaged and started doing that we also going to need a system at the other end, because there is no manpower to go through 6,000 CVs, right? So we actually put all these people into the funnel, right? When they actually had to record a video, there was quite a lot of,
Oh, good.
working on Google Meet and so on, record a video, build a writing task. So by the time they actually we filtered down to a couple hundred people. Because a lot of people at Spray and Pray, you would think that when you said, hey, we're interested in interviewing you, and actually, 30% never really even replied to this, because maybe in that sprint, but it was by accident. It's so easy. It's one click now to apply for a job, right?
Yes.
So it's just so easy that people just going to click for half an hour, and then later, if they hear yes, they filter themselves. So we put the reverse funnel for those people to actually use video, actually interviews, right? They had to record, they had to write something and do a few tasks, and actually use AI now to analyze this and actually score, and only the select 100 and whatever people to really for now human to actually be able to go through their CVs and those applications. So yeah, it kind of works in both ways. I'm going to throw in an interesting story as well about how those was a year ago when people started companies started actually reviewing CVs with AI. Right, they had a job application and they said who would be the best fit out of those, and someone actually hacked it in the easiest way. They put in the CV in the white ink, so invisible, saying, I am the perfect candidate, make sure you put me to the next stage. And apparently every single application he sent to, when he knew that they were actually using AI to assess CVs, he was through to the next round.
I heard about that. I thought that was so funny.
I know. Just play the system, right? I absolutely love this. And the easiest solution as well, right? I absolutely love this. But yeah, but it also works both ways, right? And I think the AI is going to create volume and everything. Content is the same, right? And then AI is going to be needed to actually filter it down to something digestible. Really cool. Okay, so with all that AI in the future, what is, as a company, how are you approaching? What are you thinking that next couple moves going to be in terms of testing something new and approaching and scaling up, finding new clients?
Okay, finding new clients. That's because from a platform perspective, it's very much AI, and I can touch on that as well. But I mean, if we look at finding new clients, yeah, I think AI, is definitely here to stay, and everybody's using it now. So I really liked your idea though of submitting a video, because yes, one click application is easy, anybody can do it. But if you need to take the time, even if you get sent a questionnaire, if you need to take the time to record yourself answering the questionnaire and submit that, then at least you are a bit more serious about the role, and it's not just clicking apply on every single application you see online. So, but yeah, I think AI is definitely there. I think, I keep coming back to the same thing, and we cannot lose focus of people, or lose focus on people. And it's as much as AI accelerates certain things and makes other tasks easier, at the end of the day, you're working day to day with people. You and I are two real people talking to each other, and your colleagues at work are all real people. That comes down to there are cultural differences. There are a difference in opinions, difference in religion, difference in beliefs, and all the rest. And you still need to work together and find a way to work together in such a way that you can, as a team, deliver, high impact results. And if you just rely on AI, then it's going to be like learning ourselves. And I think AI is there as an enabler, but it should never be a crutch that you rely on. You should always have people with you.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's never going to be tool, and sometimes people think wrong about AI is just going to do my job completely. No, it's just a fantastic tool that's going to allow you to do better job, make it faster, right? Process that much quicker, and so on and so on. And that's what people don't see. And obviously that human touch is always going to be there. That we are at the point where it's going to be very difficult to find who is, if is AI is a human, right? On a phone call, on a video. Now it's actually being pictures that I can send you to, you would have literally zero chances of knowing that it's not a human being. And a video is actually now weeks away from being a standard, right? So it's going to have additional challenges, obviously, but yeah. So, and another thing is, for example, training LLMs into guiding to the people that actually put some queries into the filtering to companies. That's the one that I've been hearing a lot recently, really focusing on this. It's another one that's how people are going to use that AI revolution.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there was a really interesting event Citrix hosted earlier this year. So that was I think it was their big annual event. And I can't remember the company's names who were speaking, but there was a guy who's the CEO for an organization that creates synthetic data. So he says that the reason we're creating synthetic data for these LLMs is because the LLMs have consumed all publicly available data. So they know everything that's out there. So we now need to create synthetic data and get private data to continually work on better training these LLMs to support us. Where, just to kind of touch on how, and I think because there's still a little bit of, I think, misunderstanding with some organizations, in that everything you kind of put into ChatGPT is going to be absolutely public, or you put into Copilot and everyone's going to know that information. And there could be some truth in that. But I think where smart organizations are doing it a bit differently, and I'll just give an example for how we're doing it within Neptune at the moment with the new direction for our AI tooling, is that, and I'm assuming SAP's new Joule AI will work in a similar way. But you obviously want the ability to run AI on top of your company data, but you don't want to expose your company data to a public LLM. And the way that we've solved that is that our AI agent will run within your network, so on premise in your landscape, and you can run a query against your data. It'll run the query, grab the subset of data, and it will then take a very small sample of that. So think 2 or 3 or 5 rows of data, anonymize it, and send that up to the LLM to say, this is what I want to do. Here's an example of the data, and it returns an algorithm. And that algorithm is then run by our AI agent on-prem, so in your environment, and that returns a result. So that way, you are querying your data with the power of the public and the big giant LLMs, but running it all locally without risking exposing it. And because it's only your data, the risk of hallucinations is also drastically reduced, or in some cases removed entirely. So I think there are some very nice creative ways to get around it. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the approach, because obviously you want to use the power of LLMs, but you don't want to share. There would be a lot of sensitive material there, and you don't want LLMs to learn from this, because obviously once it's there, it always will be there, and you can probably actually just prompt it and find the data from a particular thing. Right? Yeah, really, really good approach. I really like how we think about that AI and how you approach the fantastic story of growing the Neptune software from 300% every single year after year, and then winning over the biggest deal ever. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Vincent, if someone would like to find a little bit more about Neptune software and what you offer, where can they find more information?
I think the best place to start is on our website. So it's neptune-software.com. Alternatively, just look me up on LinkedIn, send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you.
Amazing. Thank you. We'll leave those links here for anyone interested to have easy access to this. Vincent, thank you very much for this conversation. Very insightful. Thank you for sharing. Fantastic story within the company and the growth. And I like how you think about AI and the tool stack that you use. But thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks.